welcome to Vlog 7 of me and composing music. And here is my sketch again. This is kind of like continuing discussion on sketching musical compositions or beginning a musical composition. I actually haven't finished I haven't finished this task yet. As you can see, it's all, the velocity, the dynamics are all over the place, and I gotta draw out my velocity curves properly, which I actually haven't done, because and that's a little point I want to make actually. Always finish a task. I mean, if you've got something like that to do, always make sure you finish it. Because if you don't, you'll find that all the jobs are stacking up on you, and you get a bit pressured later on. So finish everything like one job at a time, or at least try to anyway. I mean, sometimes you might have several jobs to do at the same time, but make sure you do complete everything that you're supposed to complete. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you're sort of tearing your hair out, really. Okay, so this is our little musical sketch, and I suppose the first thing would be, your first instinct would be, right, I've got my melody line, and so I'm going to add some, I should add an accompaniment over the top of that, an 8/8 accompaniment. I should add chordal structure, my bass line. And that's what you would, sort of instinctively think I've got to do now. And you take all this lot up and sort of move it into the middle, as it were. And then you've got your two complements at the top there. You've got your chords and you've got your bass line. And you'd work on that, and then you'd sort of move on from there. And I have done that in the past as well. And I've even said, the sketch isn't finished until you've actually done that. However, I've recently changed my mind, and I want to explain a little bit about what's sort of going on there. I mean, basically, this is your musical sketch, right? It's sort of in the middle of everything. It's like it's been sort of parked there or plonked down there, like you can imagine a spaceship, from Venus or something, and it's kind of dropped this, it's dropped your little musical idea in the middle of sort of the ocean, in the middle of space, or in the middle of Earth or somewhere, and there it is, and you're looking at it thinking, okay, that's great, but you really want to know, you want to know how to develop it, okay? So basically, you want to know how it got there. So looking at the x-axis here, this is all the sort of antecedents, or this is the actual sketch here. Okay, and this is its origins, where it came from. Well, in our case, it came from Venus. It came from a UFO, but anyway, it didn't really. But this is where, musically speaking, the sketch came from. The idea came from. So the idea within itself contains everything that begins, like at the beginning, and also sort of, the kind of the introductory section. And possibly a little bit of a development occurs as well, to take you from the beginning, the opening chords or the opening motif or whatever, to where your sketch is on this sort of timeline. So this is time, this is 0, this is the timeline here, the x-axis on the timeline, and then some time ahead of it, it's going to be the climax, the finale. Or it may be they're dwindling away, or it may stop on an unresolved chord, and the audience is sort of gasping, saying, what happens next? Well, nothing does, it's sort of a cliffhanger. And then you might do your Beethoven trick. That might be movement 1, and then second movement begins with the resolution of that chord. So you're ending there on an unresolved chord, and then you're kind of hopping over to the second movement, which is a Beethoven trick, I think, isn't it? Anyway, so there you are. But we're not having this is for one. We're assuming it's one piece of music, and it has a sort of a beginning, a middle, and an end. And somewhere in the middle, somewhere we don't know where, is this musical sketch. Okay, which is just being plonked down there in the middle of this time continuum, this x-axis, and this is the x-axis, right? So this is the melody, this is our central melody, and this is how the melody is going to develop, this is how it's going to finish up, and this is how it all began, and how it developed to that point, you see. Now you're going to say, well, how did we get from there to there, and how are we going to get to the end from this musical clip, from this musical idea, from this one musical sketch? Oughtn't we start sketching the end bits and the beginning bits? Well, we'll come to that at a later stage, really, of so-called thematic development, which isn't actually technically what thematic development means, but I'm kind of borrowing the term there, so that I know what I'm talking about anyway. Okay, so that's the x-axis. Now, this is the y-axis, going up. This is the y. This is the y positive y. That, by the way, is negative x. All right, and that's positive x. And this is positive y going up, and this is negative y. I'm thinking in terms of maths. I don't know why. Okay, and so this is the chords. These are the chords going to be here in the bass line. So we're moving down into the bass clef here. And we're moving right up to 8/8 with sort of the upper, the upper echelons of the keyboard. To the place where you put the piccolo part right up the top there, possibly. So that's the y-axis, and so at each of these stages, each of the stage of the x-axis, as the music proceeds, it's going to go up, and it's going to be supported by the bass and the chord structure, and it's going to be augmented and ornamentation added, perhaps at the upper, or it could be that the rhythm is taken up on the upper, and so on and so forth. But we'll come to that as well. And the result is, you see, the result of x and y is you get another dimension, which I call z. Okay, and z is the resultant vector. If you think of y as a vector and x as a vector, the resultant vector, the sum of these two vectors, is z, which is basically the sort of forward motion of the music. And it's going to start from here, from this point actually, and it's going to go all the way through to the climax. And that's kind of like the forward momentum of the music. And so that's one thing. That's the z-axis. And then I was going to say there's another axis, which is the axis which sort of comes out at you in three dimensions. So again, the forward motion is only positive. All right, so it's only going forward from zero to hero, from beginnings to climax. Now the other one is what I call the w-axis. And this is actually coming out towards you, if you can imagine it, in a positive way. It's coming towards you in a positive way. And it's going away from you in a negative way. So that's a negative W. Should use different colours, shouldn't I? That would be nice. Anyway, this represents the foreground. Okay, this is the foreground. And it could be like a solo instrument takes, it's the instruments that you kind of notice, and this is the background, and it's like the supportive harmonies, the supportive instruments. But at the same time, and we'll get onto this as well, of course, the background and the foreground. I mean, you're not burying, nothing's been buried into the background so that you can't hear it. So you can hear every instrument, and nothing is, in terms of frequency, is like spiking through. So you don't get any kind of frequency spikes. Everything is lined up. All the frequencies, the bass, the tenor, the soprano, the contralto, and the soprano. They're all kind of lining up. All the frequencies are lining up. There's nothing spiking, and there's nothing being buried. So they all have inequality. They're all equal, and yet there is possibly this background and foreground dichotomy, which of course it actually can change as well. So what was in the background can come to the foreground, and what's in the foreground can go to the background. Okay, so that's the w-axis. So things are sort of coming towards you, and then they're receding back from you, as it were.